Okay, I'd like to call the October 17th, 2018 meeting of the Royal Oak Downtown Development Authority to order. At this point, I'd like to open up public comment. Anybody's here for public comment, please raise your hand, be recognized by the chair, hold your comments to 5 minutes. Ms. Hennessy.
Good afternoon, Carol Hennessy, 258 East 12 Mile Road, Royal Oak. I just want to thank you for continuing on working on the monument, and Sean and I talked earlier, and hopefully we can get it done this winter before it gets too bad, because I know once it gets a certain temperature, they can't do it. The other thing is I showed Jay earlier, when they put up the fencing for the new project, they have completely blocked off the handicap ramp to the monument. And there's no way someone in a wheelchair can get up there. So I was just wondering if there's possibly anything you can do, moving the fence or putting in a small sidewalk where wheelchair could get to there from one sidewalk to the walkway, anything like that, because John Wendland was here, and there was a couple veterans, and one was in a wheelchair, and they couldn't get up there, and I guess they were pretty upset. So just if there was something small you could do to help them get over there, I'd appreciate it.
We'll talk to somebody.
Okay, I appreciate it.
Is that fencing for both areas or for the parking structure?
It's kind of splits the middle.
And I guess my question is, if it had to be there for the parking structure, would it
Yeah,
be
it's
removed
got to
after?
be there because the fountain's kind of blocking
The
it.
Star Dream.
Yeah.
Okay, so in other words, the answer is, once the parking structure's done, it would still be there if we didn't do something?
Yes, because this will still be going on.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Correct, okay. Well, anybody else? Laura? All the voting stuff took the good seats, it looks like.
Laura Harrison, 729 Trafford Road, retired retailer, and loving it.
Don't rub it in, Laura. Don't rub it in.
This doesn't help. Anyhow, I'm kind of here to second Carol in the monument. It means an awful lot to us and our military people, and we really, want it taken care of well. And I think it's home for it right where it is, so I don't want to see it go anywhere. I really appreciate it, though. Anyhow, I had something else I wanted to say, but that's gone too, so I didn't need the whole 5 minutes, Jamie.
All right, well, thank you, Laura. Anybody else? Anybody else? Nobody else? Okay, I'll close public comment and bring it back to the table. We're going to item number 3, the approval of the meeting minutes from September 19th. I assume everybody's had an opportunity to look them over. And I'd entertain a motion at this time.
So moved.
I'll second. Director Johnson, seconded by Director Krieger. Do we have any discussion, any corrections? None? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Expense items. We got a couple items here. One is informational. I believe the other one we need to take some action on. 4A is the monthly expenses. Now is the time to ask Mr. Twing if you have any questions.
Just real quick, the small potatoes, the Google ad, what was that for? Do we know what that was?
Yes, that's when we were promoting the ride-sharing
Got it.
promotion code.
The lift promo?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, no other questions? On to B, we got a Kerr Russell Weber invoice.
That invoice is through August. It's $416. It relates to an item that's later on in your agenda. Basically, the review and preparation of the tri-party agreement for 696.
I gotta look over.
And Singh and the lender.
Is that the last we'll have of that, or do we still have the agreement with regard to the electricity?
There may be more related to this because that bill ended in September,
Okay.
or I mean in August, and I think there'd probably be a little bit of a charge towards the tri-party thing in September. The reimbursement agreement with Singh for DTE is still out there.
Okay, I couldn't remember. All right.
We will need a motion on this one.
Motion approved.
Moved by Director Riley,
Second.
second by Director London. Any other questions or discussion?
No.
Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. And the number 5, 424 East 4th Street, the Streetscape Assistant Request.
Chair Dunstan, I'm going to step away or recuse myself from this
Okay.
because our office has dealings with this project. All right.
You're good. You're coming back though, right?
It depends on the rest of the agenda. If the agenda's good, then yeah, otherwise I'm going to go hit the rock.
That's why you better early. You just recuse yourself.
Mr. Twain.
The Infrastructure Committee met with the property owner and his request to provide some assistance for streetscape installation along East 4th Street, basically in front of 424, the new building that's being almost completed along East 4th. The committee didn't really have any objections to providing assistance. The estimate at that time provided by Mr. Schwartz was $21,262.14. You'll notice that I handed out a revised estimate from their contractor. The primary difference in that is related to the cost of a decorative light pole. It looks like it went up about $1,144 roughly, and then that impacted a couple other items in their budget that are probably generated based off a percentage of the construction totals. So the difference is $1,211 roughly. I'll make some comment on, I did ask engineering to take a look at the streetscape cost items. The light pole itself, EPS a year ago, we were buying them for about $2,700 versus $4,100 that they have proposed. DPS has indicated they actually have one in stock. If you didn't want to pay the $4,100, you could provide that and just replace the one that's being held at DPS. There's also a permit fee in there for $250 and some overhead costs, that whether you want to cover overhead and profit margins is obviously up to the board as well. Probably the biggest item that was questioned was the cost of the concrete and the stamped concrete item. I believe in the packet I sent out, you'll see engineering's comment in regards to that. I did get a follow-up from the petitioner that indicates that, their contractor is indicating that based on their way they're mobilizing and what they have to mobilize to make the corrections, it's costing twice what they would expect and as well. So what you want to do with that concrete item in terms of how much you want to contribute or not contribute towards this request, I'll leave to the board in its discussion.
I will mention, and Mike Safai is the chairperson of the Infrastructure Committee, and he's not able to be here today, that this did come before us at Infrastructure, and we did approve in principle to participate in helping with this request, so.
Can you give us some background on what happened here? In other words, this, the way I understand, this was something that the city came to them like after they were nearly done and said, hey, by the way, you need to do this, this, and this. Is that correct, or am I
And
wrong?
we have Mr. Klatt here, too.
Well, what I would say generally happened was that the development plans that were submitted for the building and renovation on it, and went through for approvals, had notations on them about compliance with standard streetscape pattern. What ultimately got installed was the standard streetscape pattern minus the light, one light that should have been there, and I believe a couple of trees that should have been there. They weren't specifically noted on the construction plans, but they were referenced in the sense of you got to follow the standard pattern. So when they asked for the final inspection from engineering, they said it's not right.
Okay,
you
so
correct it.
then fair to say that this came as right, wrong, or indifferent, it came as a surprise to the developer, to the contractors, when they.
Well, they were required to put in the streetscape, they knew they had to do that.
Per whatever.
Whatever, there was a miscommunication somewhere, a misunderstanding of what that should look like.
Got it.
Mr. Clapp?
No, that is the case. And good afternoon, Jeff Klatt with Krieger Klatt Architects. I also have a few supplemental handouts to Mr. Singh did an excellent job describing the estimate. But we went back to the contractor and requested a bit more detail on the concrete as well as the light post. So I can pass those out too. I highlighted some of these items here, and the back 2 pages reflect the concrete estimates. There's a bit more breakdown on there. And then this is just a diagram too that's indicating where these light posts and trees will go. So sorry for the multiple documents. But that is our understanding of that as well too. We provided new concrete that was approved by the city staff. And then at some point the inspector came out and said, where are the trees, where are the light posts? So, I mean, the owner would have installed those initially, but they were instructed to. It was approved.
Because it's quote unquote after the fact, it's way more expensive than it would have been had it been done in the initial phase.
Now we have to take out that
Tear
concrete,
stuff
take
out.
out that work to install this. So that's what we're asking for the financial relief.
In the, with regard to the light pole, that wouldn't surprise me at all. First of all, that if they went out to buy a light pole, that it would be way more than what DPS or DPW, whatever we refer to it as, would get a light pole for, since we're probably as a city buying, quantity and that purchasing power, whereas for somebody to buy one individually. So when you guys approved this out of committee, did you approved 21,000 and change, correct?
Yeah, I believe that's the number that we had in the committee, wasn't it?
And when you had it at committee, were there the questions brought from the city engineering regarding the light pole and the concrete?
Not at that time.
Okay. Did I give you one of these? I think we got extras of these.
So I don't know if there's anything you want to add to this, or?
No, if you have any questions about the estimate, I can walk you through that. I had a good.
Well, I guess I would ask you for the light pole. I mean, I guess let's just start with that. If we, and because I'm, you tell me, you guys are the architects on this. Is it the same kind of light pole, or is it the exact same thing? In other words, if we can just swap out a light pole and say $1,500, does that make sense, or am I missing something?
No, it's got to be the city standard light pole.
Okay.
Yeah, we wouldn't let them put up a different one.
So I'm assuming the city would charge them the.
Is the one that we have stored is the city approved one, yeah.
Okay. So, I mean.
So the only difference I would say is generally the DPS has one in stock that we could provide rather than reimbursing them. The DDA would have to pay to restock that one.
But at the city price?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, so it's a lower price, so we'd save some money there. On the concrete, obviously a big difference between $850 and $6,000 is, from your standpoint, is there something that they're missing here? Is it not that simple, or?
No, and that's what this breakdown does show. So what it does indicate here that there's a frame for that tree grate. So as explained by the contractor, there's the risk of cracking the concrete, so they do have some money in here, because when they do overcut that to install the frame, they have to replace the concrete around it. So it's not as simple as just cutting out a 5x5 flag and sticking in the tree grate. They have to overcut that to install the frame. Then there's risk of cracking the surrounding concrete as well too. So they have it's broken out here line item by line item. There's demolition and removal of the 3 flags. There's the fabrication of the steel frame for the tree grate, the installation of the frame, installation of the tree grate itself, and then the repaving of the work around the light post.
So that's what's spoken out here is the 6160 then?
Correct.
Okay.
I think there was a question surrounding that number by the
Okay.
engineering department when they reviewed the initial estimate.
The one thing that I'll say about this is that, you know, I've personally driven by this project as it's being built, and I've kind of, in a way, I've kind of marveled at it in that it's kind of interesting that this was an office building, a brand-new spanking office building. Granted, it's not quote-unquote within the DDA, but it is the CBD, and I guess the streetscaping is in the DDA, and we never knew about it. We wouldn't have known about it if we didn't drive by it. In other words, I think these guys did a commendable job in doing what they did, bringing this building to fruition, getting it built, getting it financed. Now, I guess they could have come to us early on for the streetscaping. So I'm in full agreement personally with the infrastructure committee on helping out here. And if we can save a few dollars because we've got something in stock that we can buy better than them, well, by all means, I'm all for that. But you know.
And just some quick math here shows that I guess if we're able to use the city poll, it would take this ask down to about $21,000 roughly.
So back to almost the original of what you guys approved, or what you guys brought to the table to approve.
Does anybody have any questions for Mr. Klatt? Okay, you're all set. Anybody?
I mean, again, I'll just say it again. I think it's it's funny. We talk about all the different projects that we have going here, and we've gone back and forth as guys on 218 South Main, and there's the Etkin building and the Boji building, and this thing got built without a lot of hullabaloo and without a lot of arm twisting and things like that. And this came in and had this, misunderstanding, never been there. They would even never been before us for anything. So I'm in favor of helping them out with the streetscape because it helps us all out.
And I do need to be corrected, and Tim pointed out, I mean, there is, if they're gonna use the city poll, we'd be pulling off the cost of the poll here. So it'd be,
Right.
we'd be pulling off $4,100, so we'd be looking at like 18.3 roughly.
But we would be paying the city directly.
18.3 to the property owner, and
Right.
then back to the city, whatever the cost of the poll is.
The cost of the poll on this is just the cost. There's no labor in there. There's nothing else.
Well, I'm sure there's installation, or the cost to install the pole. I know there's mobilization, they have to install the base first, then they come back after the concrete's poured to install the second portion of it.
There is a labor.
There's a labor rate.
What's the raw cost? Okay, there it is, light bulb, $41.58,
Yes,
right?
then there's the labor.
Okay, and we can do it for what? What did we say? $2,700, so we're saving $1,400.
About $2,700 a year
Okay.
ago, but.
So 14.
No, the total for that, if I read it right, was $8,500. Installation and the pole base.
8509, yeah.
How do we work the reimbursement to the city into a motion?
Well, I would just deal with the motion for reimbursement to the party that's have a draft and limit it to, what'd you say, 18.3 or 18.5?
Yeah.
And then make a separate motion to have the city buy another light pole and you pay them. Just separate the two.
Because I haven't driven by there, so I don't know how it looks. It looks fairly nice in this picture, but because there seems like there was some kind of mutual mistake, or, this wasn't intentional on either side, or certainly on the developer side, was there any consideration, instead of just redoing all this nicely done construction work, making some kind of modification, like putting a planter there instead of new trees or something, so you just don't have to rip it all up and spend 20 grand? And is that even a possibility?
No.
No? Good answer.
And to the point. Anybody else? Okay. Anybody?
Make a motion to accept the resolution as written, not to exceed 18.5, and direct the city to replace the pole, and we will reimburse them.
Okay, do you want that separate, Tim?
Separate.
Or does that matter?
That's fine, you can
Okay.
do it that way.
Okay. So I have a motion on the table from Director Baglio.
I'll
I'm not going
second
to
that.
repeat it. Second by Director Yazbek. Any further discussion? Comments? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Everybody. Oh, Tony. Okay, on to number 6. We have a couple Genisys grant applications, and is this Sean? And maybe you could first explain what the Genisys grant application is and how it, where it comes from.
Yeah, just to give the board a little bit of a background on it. By virtue of the DDA having a membership with Main Street Oakland County, we qualify to participate in both of their grant programs. One is administered by Flagstar, which was previously approved to repair the Veterans Memorial. That grant operates with a deadline. The other grant, which is sponsored by Genisys Credit Union, has a rolling application deadline. It's basically first come, first serve. That's more intended for the businesses in the district to apply for micro grants for small projects. So how that works is it's a $2,500 grant, and it also requires a match. And in the case of these Genisys grants, the match is being provided by the local businesses. So this request is not for the DDA to spend any funds on anything. It's basically us to accept the $2,500 grant from Genisys and then disperse it to the applicant when their project is completed. It's not required that this go through the DDA to be approved. It didn't have to be that way, but the DDA did express an interest in making sure that any businesses applying for grants through the Main Street program, which we're the member, we'd like to see what's being applied for, and we'd like to, work with those applicants just so, the DDA has some stake in the process. So these 3 applications were turned into the DDA. They went through the infrastructure committee, I believe, last week.
They did.
And the first 2, I'm sorry, my screen is actually is down right now, but
They're slow today.
Elements Jewelry and Mint Hair Crafting.
yes. So Elements Jewelry and Mint Hair Crafting are both applying for a sign, both respective signs upgrades, and the third application is from Motor City Gas, and they would like the funds for marketing purposes to build a new website. So I believe the infrastructure committee recommended approval on all 3 of those.
That's correct. So does anybody have any, and can you also tell us, how did these businesses become aware of the availability of this grant?
So I announced these grant opportunities at the stakeholders meeting. I also had something written up in our monthly newsletter we send out. I believe these 3 received their application at the stakeholders meetings. So that's how they receive information about that.
Very good.
And Sean, these Genisys grants, they're a 50/50 grant from the county, correct? So in other words, if I, like I think I'm looking at, if I saw correctly, if I remember Motor City Gas, it's like a $5,000 package. They're gonna put in $2,500 and the county's putting in $2,500.
Right, the grant is for up to $2,500. It's a 50/50 match, so the match has to come from some sponsor or local source or something. In these 3 cases, the match is being provided, each of them by the businesses.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. So, do we have, I'm sure we do, a cap from the county? In other words, is it a per annum? In other words, Royal Oak, so we're involved in the Genisys, this is through the Main Street program, correct?
Correct. We can
Okay.
apply for as many projects as we want, so long as there's still funds in the Genisys grant program.
So
countywide.
Royal Oak's not limited to like 10,000 or whatever?
Correct, so that they
So it's
will-
first in,
Right, they will continue to approve grants on a rolling basis until the funds
Okay.
for that program for that year are exhausted.
then I think the idea of a approving them and getting them out there to our people.
From what I understand, a few applications have come in from other communities, but it's Royal Oak that really put in
Oh, fantastic.
so far, the vast majority of the grant applications. And there's interest for a couple more still, so I anticipate a few more to come in before the year's end.
So then, in other words, and just so I know, if company X tomorrow has got a signage, but they don't have any money to match the grant, they can have some other funding, as long as if they need 2,000, they need to come up with 1,000 to get the 1,000 from the
Correct.
city. Okay.
Okay, any other questions?
I'll move to approve the,
And there's no reason we need to approve these separately.
Yeah, well-
They should be approved
No,
together.
we got one resolution.
Okay, motion by Director Riley,
approve all three.
I'll second.
second by Director Krieger. Do we have any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Number 7, Marketing Communication Plan from Factory Detroit. And I believe we have Mark Lance there.
My name is Mark Lance. I have a little ad agency up the road here on 215 South Center Street called Factory Detroit Incorporated. And I'm here to introduce you to the first output of our new campaign to promote downtown Royal Oak. There's going to be a variety of elements. There's television, there's radio, there's going to be out-of-home, outdoor billboards, whatever you want to call it, online advertising, social media, and then we'll see what else we can come up with beyond that. The premise of the whole campaign is that it's focused on occasions, on reasons why people would go out. They would go out for dinner, they go out for shopping, they go out for fun and recreation, and it focuses on all the little moments throughout somebody's week where they might say, you know what, I want to go somewhere. Do I want to go to Ferndale? No. Do I want to go to Birmingham? No, I want to go to Royal Oak. Why do we want to go to Royal Oak? Because we are perfectly set up with infrastructure and amenities and places to eat, places to shop, places to do stuff, great activities. And so it's focusing on those occasions. So it's happy hour. It's Saturday night. It's Sunday morning. It's the holidays. It's all those, any little moments someone might want to go out and dine or shop or recreate, and this is the place we want them to go. And the idea would be we focus on those moments and we would put those in media when people and where people are making their decisions about what they're going to do. So if they're thinking, you know what, I want to go out for dinner tonight, it's midday in the during the workday, we'd want to be in media where that message pertains. If they're thinking about when we're going to go out for happy hour, where we want to go tonight this week, we wouldn't want to run that on a Sunday, because on Sunday very few people are thinking about happy hour. But we would want to run it when people are thinking about that, making that decision, so we can be in there. That also helps us save money in our media costs, so we're not just throwing it all out there. But it also allows us to target our message to our audience, to our occasion, to our media. And so we're able to really kind of fine-tune where we're getting the message to the right people, the right time, in the right way, in the right medium. So the idea is to really be very efficient, but understanding we have lots of times and lots of occasions for reaching out to people. The center of the whole campaign is television. I believe we're going to be able to watch it on the screen. There are 6 TV commercials we have. They're all 15-second little commercials, each one focusing on a different occasion for going to downtown Royal Oak. And I guess that's about it. They will look better than they look on your system here. The system here, for some reason, squishes the video a little bit. So they're not exactly the way they look on when you're watching them at home, but they still look pretty good. So I guess we would just run those.
Sunday brunch is permission to cheat on your diet, your chores, and your resolve to do some work ahead of Monday. Sunday brunch is salvation. Sunday brunch is Royal Oak. Life Now Playing. Check us out at downtownroyaloak.org. Saturday is finding rare vinyl, vintage threads, dangly earrings that'll look smashing on you, and something chocolate to go with your coffee. Saturday is your day for you. Saturday is Royal Oak. Life Now Playing. Check us out at downtownroyaloak.org. Saturday night is dinner and a movie, dinner and stand-up, dinner and that alt-metal band you've got to see. Saturday night is glorious freedom. Saturday night is Royal Oak. Life Now Playing. Check us out at downtownroyaloak.org. Happy Hour is craft cocktails, craft beer, laughing too loud, and spoiling your dinner with the nachos. Or maybe the sesame wings. Either way, Happy Hour is Royal Oak. Life now playing. Check us out at downtownroyaloak.org. A good hair day does wonders for the soul, refreshes the attitude, and gives you the best excuse there is for a good shopping day. A good hair day is Royal Oak. Life now playing. Check us out at downtownroyaloak.org. Family time is catching the first matinee, letting them pick the restaurant, exploring the world together, and finding a new friend to take home. Family time is Royal Oak. Life now playing. Check us out at downtownroyaloak.org.
Radio commercials. We have 10 of those. In fact, we're going to have in another few weeks, we'll have another 4. We're going to do 4 radio commercials that are exclusively focused on promoting the holidays. So to run during that kind of Thanksgiving to New Year's kind of window. And as I mentioned, we will be doing outdoor. What we've done is created a photo library that we'll be using for billboards, for online banner ads, for social media posts, and right now we've got something like, I think there are 20 or so of those units that we've got determined. We're still working on the last wave of those. We'll probably end up with about 26 to 30 or so, different occasions, different moments, different visuals. The idea was being to really capture as much of the fabric of the downtown as we possibly could. So I'm going to walk you through a few of these. So this one, these are the pocket-sized versions of them. So you're driving along the freeway. Happy Hour is adult recess. Happy Hour is Royal Oak. These ones. Happy Hour is Royal Oak. We've got, this one is taking the summer, somebody playing the piano, one of the pianos. Fun Time is Inspiration. Fun Time is Royal Oak. And that's the hook on everything. There's this moment is something, this moment is Royal Oak. This is over at, I think, Burn Rubber. Playtime is for Kicks. Playtime is Royal Oak. In the bookstore. The Weekend is What You Make of It. The Weekend is Royal Oak. So we really want to have a balance between shopping, dining, recreation, make sure it's all spread out across. One is next door at Brugger's. Morning is Go Time. Morning is Royal Oak. This one is at Cream Blends, retailer on 4th Street. U-Time is Therapy for the Soul. U-Time is Royal Oak. Playing with one of those little like a hand cream or something like that.
What are these billboards?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, these would also, but also if you're on, say you're online, these would be in a much smaller version. They would also be like banner ads. The idea is that the basic units can be repurposed. Anyways, once we have a media plan, we then version up these to, is it going to be filling up something giant or is it going to be going in something smaller? So if you think about the classic 728 by 90 banner ad, this would be easily versioned to fill that space as well. And as I said, there's going to be another 20 or so on top of these. Tea Time is a cup of Zen. Tea Time is Royal Oak. And then finally, Tonight is Too Important to Waste. Tonight is Royal Oak. Tonight is Too Important to Waste. Tonight is Royal Oak. And I will say, by and large, the retailers and restaurants have been really, really helpful in accommodating our creating this campaign. We had a 2-day shoot window, and by and large, everyone was just wonderfully, wonderfully helpful.
And I want to make sure everybody understands everything was shot right here in Royal Oak. Or didn't take a crew out to Los Angeles and shoot this.
That being said, it seems like in the ads and in the billboards, it almost seems like painstakingly you went on your way not to put logos or anything in there with the exception of the El Mary's. Is there a reason?
I would say not trying not to. Just some places, yeah, but I ask you, if it's easy for a logo to go in, I don't have a problem with it. And Ale Mary's, their glasses all have the logos in there, and we end up working with them because right now they're a very hot kind of cool hipster destination. And considering our competition with somebody like Ferndale or Midtown, that we want to make sure we're in that scheme of things. But I also say like the the cream blends.
Yeah, and I didn't know whether that was their brand or not.
Everything they've got has this packaging on it. Everything in the store is this packaging on. So where it's possible, I definitely don't see a problem with that. It's not possible everywhere. Not everybody has their logos all over everything.
I'm with you. I don't see a problem with it. My only concern is that other places might say, okay, but this is all our money going into this.
Next time.
And why is this being featured? I don't have a problem with it. It was interesting, like, the tea one, I would assume that's called Fish Tea, because that's the only place, but the teapot is a ceramic teapot, as opposed to having their logo on it.
Oh, the other thing I'd say is, as Jay said, the idea is this is the beginning of a campaign. We can add TV units down the road as there's a more production budget. Also, that's one reason why we really put an emphasis on over-delivering on creating these static units, the photography. Normally as a campaign like this, you go out and you'd have like a half dozen, photos-based units. Here we're going to have something like 30 because we want to make sure that one image isn't carrying the entire campaign. Mm-hmm. So if there is a shot of a beer glass at Ale Mary's that happens to have their logos on it, that's not the only thing that's going to be promoting going out and having fun and kind of a drinking, eating establishment kind of place in downtown. So we're not just pushing people to Ale Mary's, we're pulling them to downtown Royal Oak overall. And so with something like 26 to 30 units, there's going to be a great diversity of images representing the sum of Royal Oak versus just one business. That's always the hard part of this kind of destination thing, is if you focus too much on one business and you don't have a lot of units, it can seem like you're favoring one destination over the others.
Sure, particularly when it's something like this where it's the whole city that's involved.
Yeah.
So I can tell you, and I don't want to speak for Gary, but we met a number of times with Mr. Lance and his crew, and we did vet all of this quite a bit. And the questions you asked have been asked. We've asked these questions, so I'm very satisfied with the work they've done, and it's kind of the business I've been in for 40-some years, and I appreciate the work they've done.
And the speed at which they did it.
That's because you're dealing with professional place, so we're not dealing with a single person working on this, we're dealing with a crew, and very happy with what they've done, and I'm excited to hear what everybody has to say about the marketing plan. I looked it over. I think for the most part it's pretty solid, but I guess, does anybody have any further questions for Mr. Lance as far as what he's just presented, the TV and the out-of-home?
No, looks good. I thought it looked really great, yeah.
We were really glad you guys selected us to do this. A, this is our home. We're right here at 3rd and Center Street. B, we love destination marketing. I've got a kind of a lot of experience in that, and it's a real passion. And C, we just felt it was something we could have a lot of fun with and do some work we're really proud of. And we're very proud of how the work ended up. So you guys were a very good client on all this, so thank you.
And just so you know, we're looking at the marketing plan. We're going to talk about it and vote on it. The next two items on the agenda, it's kind of where Mark kind of ends at this point. He makes recommendations on how we should present what he's created. And then these next two items after his item are the people that we're going to use to actually put these out here for everyone to see. So that's it. In a nutshell. Anybody have anything else for Mr. Lance? Thank you, Mark.
Thank you, Mark.
So, I don't know if everybody's had a chance to look over the marketing plan. Don, I bet you've got a question?
Actually, no.
Because I've seen, you've been looking it over and you had a pen in your hand, so I just made an assumption here. But if you look through it, Factory has described, they've looked at our area, they've decided, it's kind of like a script of why they've ended up where they've ended up. And at the very end, they do us a favor and say, now that you have all this stuff, this is how we think you should present it. And then Mark mentioned that, geez, it's a, Thursday afternoon, I want to go to happy hour someplace, and, here that pops on the radio or on the television or whatever. So he's given us that map as well. I'm pretty satisfied with the document. It's extensive and it's very detailed. But I don't know if anybody else has any comments on it or if anybody has any questions. Well, there is a motion if people are happy and.
I'll move the motion.
Moved by Director Krieger,
I'll second it.
second by Director London.
So I say, I don't know a lot about this particular type of thing. I know that we have people here that do, so I'm trusting this whole thing. Makes sense. What I saw, great, what was presented, so I'm excited to see this get out there.
And well, you'll remember because you've been on here, this board longer than me, but you remember Quill?
Yeah.
And I think they were originally contracted to do this type of work, but they ended up they got morphed into more of an event category, so, so there's been a gap since that, since we had someone to do this type of work. Tony?
So we're approving this marketing plan as something to guide the vendors, the people that we engage to put the media out there. This is what is going to guide them in their efforts.
This is the
Sure.
product.
Yeah, it's the recommendation from Factory Detroit, like, here's what we just made for you, here's how we think it's best presented to the general public. Did I say that right?
And then the media buyer will execute it.
We'll execute it.
And if I may, we will be available to always interface with the media people, go to the media planner buyer. I believe we have meetings scheduled. We're going to get together sometime in the future, but we're there to partner with them as much as they need to make sure we're doing this properly.
I also want to add one thing, that this is the result of Sean's stakeholder meetings. This was discussed at several of his meetings. He brought it back to sorry, do I need to repeat that? This is the end result of Sean's stakeholder meetings. The request is made at several of his meetings by restaurateurs, retailers about marketing, and this is the end result of that discussion. So, and Sean should be proud of that.
Okay, anybody else? Director Johnson?
I really like the approach and the theme that you've used. And one question though, is the intent to continue to develop more specifics, or is it just going to be just those?
What do you mean by more specifics?
Well, additional.
Oh, well, no, the intent would be, okay, well, in terms of our contract, I will say this over-delivers against our contract. But we're doing more, as I said, we're doing the holiday radio. And then if you guys are happy with this, we're available to do more next year or year after. But the idea is to build this as a platform that more can be added to the mix, because particularly, there's so many reasons one might come here. We've captured a bunch of those, but have we exhausted all possible occasions someone would consider? And it'd be nice, like for instance, next year it'd be nice to have some TV on the holidays, but budgets being what budgets are, we focused on where the biggest hit was, which is kind of the mainstream of downtown visit occasions. But yes, we would love to be able to add more and get more assets out there.
And I would add that Factory Detroit has gone above and beyond the contract, which makes us like all your other clients.
That's true.
That is typical for service
Yes.
providers.
Anybody else? Okay, we do have a motion on the table, so I'm going to call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Lance, for all your work. Okay, so now we're coming down to, as I described, these are the items that will help distribute what Factory has created. So we have the media buyer contract. And I guess I'm going to leave this to...
Yeah, I can say a few things about it. So the way that the agreement was set up with Factory Detroit was that they would be creating the advertising content, and then it would be on us to come up with a way of, or a means of distributing it. And one of the recent meetings of the Consumer Marketing Committee, they decided that they would like to go with a professional media buyer who has enough experience and clout in the industry to place all of this content where it would be most effective. So the committee, after speaking to numerous people, came to the conclusion that 360 Event Productions, who the DDA currently has a contract with, actually has the qualifications to fulfill this function as well. So a budget, I believe, was prepared and approved, I believe it was at the last meeting, of $90,000. So this recommendation from the committee is actually to take that $90,000 and actually break it into two and have $70,000 be for the media placement, which also includes the fee for the professional services of $7,000, which is 10%. And the remaining $63,000 would be used for the media placement.
The remaining $20,000?
20,000.
Well, the remaining $20,000
I see what you're saying.
would be separated out and specifically used for social media. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So we prepared a contract for that. And I will say just on this, I received actually some last minute consultation from the city's legal department. Section 5A in the contract functionally says the same thing, but they had an alternative phrasing of Section 5A. And I can read that now if you prefer. They recommended that Section 5A be replaced with the DDA has budgeted a total of $70,000 for advertising placement, including the agent's fee. In consideration of his or her services under this agreement, the DDA shall pay the agent a fee equal to 10% of the actual cost of placement under Section 3, up to a maximum fee of $7,000. So, functionally it says the same thing. I just wanted to make the board aware that they did recommend that we change that. So, if anyone wanted to do an amended resolution.
I think the reason is if we spend less than that, she gets only 10%.
Correct.
And not to be too minutiae oriented here, but technically we're spending $63,000, correct? So 10% of that's $6,300 for.
Well, it would be $70,000, and so 10% of the 70 is 7, which you subtract from 70.
But if your media placements cost you $70,000 and then you're paying, then it's $77,000. In other words, if the bill, if it's, for simplicity's sake, if it's all with Channel 4, if it's $70,000, then we're paying them $70,000, and then we're paying, if the deal says 10%, then we're paying them $7,000.
That's correct.
But not
This
the
is
way
how
it's
the
written.
Okay,
committee has.
I'm just
Yeah,
saying.
right. I mean, I agree with you, and math agrees with you. I'm just saying, this is.
As long
how
as
the
math
committee
agrees with me, I'm
recommended
all
to bring
right.
it down.
Otherwise, I'm going to the new mathnasium once it's ready. Question for the committee. So, just so I understand, so before we were talking 90,000 in placement, so basically we were gonna put 81,000 in media placements and 9,000 to the placer, correct? And now what we're going to do is we're pulling back a little on the ads and adding in the 20,000 into the budget for the social media person, correct?
In a roundabout way, yes.
Okay.
What we originally had planned was having one person do all of that,
Okay.
the social media as well, but it didn't work out that way.
Okay.
You don't find it generally working that.
No, I wouldn't think so.
And if you go back to, and look at Factory Detroit's recommendations, a good part of it was social media. And generally, and Mark can probably speak to this too, it's kind of two separate things, you know. They aren't, but they are.
Okay, and then I'll, Chairman Dunstan, since I'll ask you to take your Chairman Dunstan hat off and put your, when you walk out the door, 10%, is that that's typical placement fee?
Yeah.
Okay.
It probably used to be 20%.
I think
Back in
one
the
of
day.
Yeah,
one of the
15%.
candidates that we interviewed wanted 15%.
Yeah.
And just from a logistical standpoint, so I have a grip on this, so we've got three different companies here, right? We've got Factory Detroit, we've got 360 Events, and then we've got the social media person. Now, will they all play, I hate to go back to one of my old things, they'll all be in the same sandbox together, right? So they'll be communicating with one another?
I would hope so. I would hope under
Yes,
Sean's
it-
direction.
yes, I
that they would-
actually have
And they'll all be using the marketing plan that we just approved, that'll be the game plan, that'll be the footprint.
Correct. I already have a tentative meeting scheduled Monday afternoon with
Okay.
two of the contractors, at least, to talk about how to move forward. Should
And then,
this
and
pass.
have these, and not that this is the, paramount that we had to have this, but have these companies worked together before in the past, and these people all worked with one another or not?
I don't believe so.
Okay.
Is the social media person in the audience?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Hi,
Hi.
I'm Gina Bologna. Nice to meet you.
Actually, you know what? I'm going to ask you if it's okay. I'm going to have you come back. We're
Yeah.
going to deal with this first,
Yeah.
because this is the meeting. Sit right up front, though,
Okay.
because this will only take a second. We got questions for you, but that's really on the next item, so I apologize. So I think I have a motion on the table, right? No?
I'm in a
This is-
motion that we make the motion as amended by what Sean stated
Okay.
for the media buying and with seat 360.
Okay. I got a motion by Director Baglio.
Just one, so this motion is to change the budget and to approve 360. Is that-
Correct.
Okay.
Do you need to change the budget?
Nothing about changing anything.
You're not changing, we're still allocating 90,000.
Okay,
It's just that they're going to get 70.
got it. Got it.
I included the breakdown just to make it
Breakdown.
clear that
Okay.
we weren't doing
Just to
an
confuse me.
additional 70
Just to
to the
confuse me.
90.
So I do have a motion. I need a second.
I'll
Second by
second.
Director Yazbek, sorry. Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. My apologies.
Now, this is 9, correct?
And I'm sorry, please introduce yourself again.
Hi, my name is Gina Bologna. I have a contract right now that you guys are looking at for doing scheduling of social media, some medium, like making different photography, videography, stuff like that. And then publishing social media on different platforms.
Can you tell us just a little bit about yourself?
Yeah.
Like that?
I recently moved back to Michigan. I grew up most of my life in Romeo, Michigan. I went to school for 4 years in New York City, where I worked for Vogue magazine, Forbes, Cosmo, a couple others. I did social media marketing with them. I also worked at Bustle towards the end of my time in New York. Out there, my job was to take 3 months and bring their social media following from 500,000 in traffic to as much as I could get it. The goal was 700,000 in 3 months. I got it to 1.5 million. When I left there at the end of July, I was at 9.8 million for foot traffic on their online platforms. Right now, when I first talked to the Royal Oak Council, I was looking at their social media, their Instagram, their Facebook, their websites, and seeing how cohesive they are with branding. We talked about different strategies that we could use to make your branding better in Royal Oak, using and marketing some of the stuff that was given for the commercials and things like that, and how I would use that to our advantage to further build off of that platform. And yeah, that's where I'm at right now.
Is there any questions for Gina?
Yeah, do you, I'm assuming that you have other clients? Or will you solely be working with us?
I would have other clients in the future. It's contractual, so me having a contract with another, say, restaurant or bar or anything like that would not interfere with the contract that I have with you. I don't think anywhere in my contract it states, when I reviewed it, that I can't have another contract with someone else. However, if that's like a strict thing, then that's something that we can talk about. But as of now, I do not have contracts with other places.
Have you worked with, I just wondering, have you worked with any cities before, any municipalities?
No, I have not.
And the way am I reading this correctly now, is this $20,000 for a 6-month period?
Correct.
So is it something, because this is, not something that I can totally get my arms around. Is it something that once things are created, that they can be managed at a much lower cost, or?
It's hard to wrap your head around because this is above me, but
Can I interject?
yes,
Sure.
you made our head spin.
Okay.
Make our head spin.
Yeah, so I'm just gonna give you a breakdown of like kind of the ideas of what I have to do. So what I want to do is I want to build more of a collaboration within the community of Royal Oak. So I think one benefit of Royal Oak would be I would find out all of the downtown Royal Oak stores and salons and things like that. A big project of mine that I'm planning on doing is making a Google Calendar and having all of the different stores put their weekly events in the Google Calendar. And on Instagram, on Facebook, I would post twice a day about what is going on that day or the following day in Royal Oak. This way you have people and you are reaching more people who are looking for things to do, and they have a one-stop shop of these are all the events going on, this is the day they're going on, and this is, you know, what we can do. Royal Oak right now doesn't have anything like that. Even the event calendar on the website doesn't have any, it's not like a hub, you know, it's not very like cohesive and collaborative to other stores. And so that's one of the main things that I'm working on. Detroit, if you look at this next to Detroit's social media, Detroit has a very cohesive branding in their social media. It's, you know, they had like the whole Detroit is the New Black, Pure Detroit, and then they had Visit Detroit, and those are all of the restaurants are giving one social media manager all of their events, and they're posting on them daily, and that is how they're getting people in the doors of different restaurants that they normally wouldn't go into. Other things, let's see. I have lots of notes. That I'd be doing is sponsoring ads. I know that in the contract it says that $2,000 a month would be allocated toward ads. So I would be spending that money on ads like Instagram, boosting how many people see it. So you can put, say, $50 into a posting on Instagram, and where normally 500 people would see it, once you put the $20 in, it boosts the range of how many people will see it to 5,000.
And where's that money coming from?
That $20,000.
Oh, so there's, okay, so part of this is, for lack of a better term, an ad budget, whether it's boosting or not?
Yes.
Okay.
Gina, can you talk
Is
about
there-
the certification that you mentioned?
Well, is there a breakdown on the 20,000? I mean, I guess what I'm getting at is this is the kind of position that we want somebody, and hopefully this is the person who's good at it and who stays in the position, right? I mean, I'm just wondering on the 6-month basis, are we looking at 20,000 every 6 months? Or is there like a platform?
Didn't we talk about 2,000 of the 20 would be put towards boosting? The rest was salary.
Yeah, she's gonna be paid $3,000 a month, I believe.
Yes,
For
that's
6
correct.
months.
And then
So there's
balance.
2,000 left to boost and do different things.
So she could do, like, she's talking about 50, she could do that 40 times in 6 months. She could, at $50, we'll use that as an example.
And $50 is a lot for a boost.
Okay, so the contract is.
The answer to your question is 3,000 a month.
3,000 a month. That's what I'm getting at. And is that something that will stay at 3,000, or is this something like I'm just wondering about the 6 months. In the first 6 months, there's platforms that you need to build, and you're doing extra work to get us to the point where we've got this
It would stay at
infrastructure.
3,000 for the 6-month period, 3,000 a month.
Okay, at the end of the 6 months, then.
Reevaluate.
Then we reevaluate.
The good thing about this, it's very measurable,
Sure.
so.
I'm just wondering why the 6 months,
At
okay.
the same time, it's not a small task. It's not something that just anyone can do. There's a lot of experience that goes behind it. I'd be going out and getting photography and videography on a weekly basis from different stores, building a relationship personally with other stores, trying to get more media for the social media use. There's a lot of analytics that go behind it. I'd be checking to see how, the traffic online is actually reflecting different stores' traffics and different bars' traffics. And if they saw this, how that's reflecting onto, a salary basis in a business. And then on top of that, we talked about there's verifications on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter. So your Instagram can be verified, which means that it's an official, account. So usually when accounts get verified, Instagram goes ahead by itself and sponsors it. Royal Oak should be a verified account. I mean, it's a verified city, you know, we're on the map. But for some reason, it's never been verified, which is something that I'm working towards and talking with individuals at Instagram to do that. And once that's approved on Instagram, that'll be approved on Twitter. And then you're talking about 10,000 plus people a month looking at your accounts and seeing what's actually going on in the city.
And Jay, like you said, it's very measurable, so we'll have like baselines, like when she starts and then how we're doing, and so we'll see, you know,
Yeah, I just,
whether it's likes or how many, I mean.
I also want to make sure that I say this. This does not take away from anything that Sean has done. Sean has done a great job with our social media, but his time is limited. This is a huge amount of time
Yeah.
that it's going to take to do this. So this is no, you know, reflection on.
Well, and am I wrong? It's just becoming a bigger and bigger
Much,
part
much,
every
much
day.
bigger,
I mean,
And the
6 months from now,
collaboration.
6 months from now,
It could
it's gonna be a bigger part of people's world than it is
Agreed.
now.
You know, we don't have, we have one developed hashtag, I think, in Royal Oak,
Yeah.
Royal Oak MI, which is doing pretty well, but there's no reposting.
Right.
I mean, it's a big undertaking.
No,
And talking about like the Google Calendar and getting businesses involved with that, that's something that I'll directly need Sean's help on, trying to figure out what businesses to talk to and things like that. So it's definitely a collaborative effort on that part.
Keeping that active too. I could see businesses letting that slide.
Right, right.
Tell them about influencers.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so influencer marketing is a thing that's on every social platform. My Instagram is considered an influencer Instagram. It's usually when you have around above 10,000 followers, you become an influencer. And I've been talking to different influencers in Royal Oak, which we actually have several of them that I had no idea about. And working with shops to promote different products in their shops, working with influencers. So an influencer, say they have a hat, okay, a shop is selling a hat. An influencer takes this hat, takes a picture in it, posts about it on their page where you can buy it, stuff like that. That's 15,000 other people that are seeing it just from that influencer's account. And that's not a charge, that's just a discussion between us and the influencer and the shop to promote other companies in Royal Oak.
Are there that many influencers in Royal Oak?
There's about 250 that I found.
Really?
Yes.
And not just out of curiosity, because I mean, when I'm used to hearing about influencers, I'm used to hearing about, you know, celebrities or the
Right.
Kardashians or
Right.
what have you, and they get pick up a glass of vodka or
Absolutely.
whatever. How do influencers find each other?
Well, right now I'm finding them. I'm reaching out directly. That's what I did in New York. I reached out to a lot of influencers. However, there's other softwares that I'd be using for you guys, softwares like Buffer for scheduling posts, and then softwares like Grin. You can put, in which I would talk to shops about it, you can put your shop on Grin, which is an online software. You say what you do, and then like what you're looking for. So if you're looking for someone to promote your shop or promote the city or this or that, these influencers will reach out saying, hey, I'm in the area. This is my going rate. Say it's.
No, I was gonna say you have to pay them, correct? I mean, whether it's
Well,
50
it depends. Sometimes it's just a trade-off. Sometimes it's just, okay, you're, a jean store. I will, if you give me 3 pairs of jeans to keep, then we'll post a selfie on Instagram in them and like talk about you guys. And then that's 20,000 people
Oh,
that
no.
it's.
Oh, I mean, it's, when you're up in the millions and millions, it's.
It's like Ryan's toy review.
Yeah.
That's between the store owner and the.
But yeah, that's between the
Okay.
store, but.
Some of these,
not-
But if there was something Royal Oak that we wanted influenced, I mean, we've got the limited, you know, $50 type budgets, but, I mean.
But if we're and then further, if we're introducing these stores to the influencers, we're the middleman in that. So if an influencer reposts it, that's a post that we can repost on our personal page. The influencer will tag our personal page, downtown Royal Oak, and that all directly comes back to us. We're still getting.
What if we had like a Royal Oak City event, like let's say the Spooktacular, for example, and we wanted people to get down there and we wanted one of these influencers to say, hey, I'm going to the Spooktacular.
Then that's something that we can reach out to. We can allot some of the $20,000, say
That's what I'm wondering.
we I don't know, we'd have to talk about
for
that with
spectacular.
them. But
We don't need to do that.
No, I'm just using it as an example. I'm just using it as an example. But if we have events, if we.
It's a holiday event.
Absolutely. If we've got this influencer network, and let's face it, it's a younger network, it's a demographic that we would love to go after, I'm sure.
I guess thinking big, I mean, the way I'm hoping that this will have the potential to create some new influencers.
Absolutely.
Out of some of our Royal Oak businesses. I'd like to be an influencer.
Yeah. Oh, just get your following up, dude.
There you go.
Get busy.
All of this is like gold for me.
Yeah.
I can't wait to
Absolutely.
start trying some of this stuff. But again, it's taken me a while to even talk this language because
Right.
I don't know about reposting.
Well, and
hashtags.
believe me, as soon as we get it down, it'll have changed, so.
Right.
That's why you have somebody that knows what they're doing.
Well, absolutely.
Director Yesmith.
As Tim would say, to try to tie this all together, Gina speaks 2 languages. She's obviously very fluent in English, very articulate, and she speaks social media.
Yep.
And we talked to a number of people in the context of doing this media buying and putting this program out, and she impressed upon us immediately that she had this special expertise, which this social media expertise with this, if you look at the marketing communication plan that we just approved, it's a vital part of the communication plan. So having an expert in vital part of the communication plan made a lot of sense to us. And so we didn't really, I don't think we subtracted from the 90,000. I think we just pigeonholed the 20,000 to what's included in the communication plan. And we're very optimistic, as probably you share our optimism now that Gina is a perfect person to kind of get us out there and effectively communicate this platform, some of the, to our target audience and the frequency that we need to get these pieces out. And I think social media is maybe the primary place to do it, and I think Gina's going to do an excellent job at that.
And one of the things, and we had talked at meetings back where we were sitting up at the table here, and we kind of looked around and we said, okay, now we're trying to market to, we're trying to, basically one of the jobs that we do as the DDA is to promote the DDA to, the downtown area, to the rest of the world. And we look across around the desk here, and there's some great minds here, but we're a little gray compared to what's going on out in the world. And we had talked about, we've got some companies here, whether it's Vector Form or CrowdRise, we've got some of these I use the word hip, I can use that, can I? Young hip companies here, and we need to hear what they think. Now, we have somebody who, you'll be talking with some of these other companies
Absolutely.
and speaking their language, and Sean, with what you're doing with stakeholders and stuff like that, I've said all long and hard that, I'd like stakeholders, I'd hope we get to the day where it's not just retailers and restaurateurs, but it's some of the office businesses that we have here, that they have people attending, or we're getting their voices in on this.
We are getting there.
Good.
Budget, he's allowed 100.
All right, so there wasn't anything that needed to be changed in this resolution, I assume, like the other one?
No.
Okay, all right, so we do have a resolution in front of us, if anybody'd like to make a motion.
I am proud to make a motion that we accept this resolution as written.
I'll second it.
I've got a motion by Director Baglio and a second by Director London. Do we have any comments or questions moving on? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gina.
Thank you, Gina.
Just gonna make us the Kardashian of municipalities.
Dude, if you saw some of the numbers they get for stuff, like, just not
They'll be all wearing new jeans. All right, we got the tri-party agreement. 696 and Singh, this will be Mr. Twing.
Yep, you have an agreement that was prepared by Randy Matthew at Kerr Weber, reviewed by Comerica, the lender for Singh, and Singh themselves, Avi Graywall. Both Comerica and Singh have executed or signed the agreement at this point. It's in front of you to get your approval on the tri-party agreement and authorize the the executive director to sign it. Basically, what the agreement calls out for is some assurances for the lender. If you read through it in detail, it basically asks the DDA acknowledge that the development agreement is in full force and effect and neither party is in default, that the developers acquired the property, that they've commenced construction, that the reversionary event is no longer can occur, and that all the provisions with respect to that have been dealt with. So just some assurances that the lender looked for, and this was something I think you may recall that Brandy spoke to you that would need to occur at some point. And so here it is in front of you this evening for your approval.
Sure, Dustin. So in the past, my company has worked on this project. Not recently, but we have, so I think it's best that I would recuse myself.
That's fine, that's fine.
I just don't want any conflicts, so.
Okay, I understand. So Director Krieger's accusing himself.
I was just gonna say, if you remember, back when we were putting this all together, and with regard to the financer and all that, and there were certain things that we were asking from them with regard to guarantees to put up, and I think that, and I do recall this was going to come back,
Yep,
so.
this is the next progression. So.
That being said, I would move to approve.
We got a motion by Director Raleigh to approve.
Second.
A second by Director Bagley. Do we have any questions or comments? No? Okay, then I'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Okay, you can come back. Sorry.
Didn't even get back there yet.
Still got your major motion coming up.
Yeah.
Move to.
So we have our committee updates on number 11 here. Consumer Marketing Committee, I think we just had that, replayed the meeting for everybody.
Yes.
Unless there's anything anybody wants to add.
We did talk a little bit about a graphic designer, which we're gonna talk about again at our next meeting. But basically, we just approved everything that we talked about.
And I'll step in for Director Safai in the infrastructure meeting, that we dealt with the 3 items here that we were talking about. I guess the alley work, I don't know if there's
It's
any.
ongoing.
It's ongoing. So there's really not a whole lot to talk about there. Again, you witnessed the infrastructure meeting. And the Business Marketing Committee,
Took the month off.
which is unbelievable.
Yep.
So,
Took the month off. Did nothing.
does anybody have any questions for anybody on any of the committees?
Just a quick question on the alley. It looks like they're getting ready to do something out there. Are they gonna are the pavers gonna come down now, or are they waiting on that?
No,
Between
they're gonna
11th and
finish
second.
it, yeah.
11th and 2nd?
Yep.
Okay. And the other thing was, I noticed, the parking around the Etkin building, the boxes are up. I don't know whether they're working yet. I don't think they're working yet, but they got everything up, and it looks like they came up with 16 spots on each side. So there's 32, would have been metered spots, but about, on either side of the Etkin building, there's 16
There's
spots.
kiosks.
Yep, kiosk, that's what you would call them.
When Felice Vanderbrink's gonna have some concepts for us on the alleyways? Did they give you an idea?
I want to say the whole thing was going to be done towards the end of November, so I'm
Okay.
anticipating the infrastructure committee will get a concept in
November, December?
at your November meeting, and we'll probably bring it back here at
Great.
that point, assuming it's ready to go.
And that's from 3rd to 6th Street, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's cleaning up those
I was
alleys.
excited to see it.
Yes, a lot of people would be. All right, now we're moving on to number 12. And Sean, it's your time.
Okay, very quickly, on September 25th, we organized the restaurant rally for the Etkin building. 3 of the 4 firms are currently in there. The 4th firm will be moving in December, but we wanted to give the firms that were there, because the building's been in operation since the summer, a welcome to downtown Royal Oak event. So we recruited 14 restaurants, and we set up shop in the first floor parking garage down there, and invited all of the employees down to have free samples for 2 hours. It was a fantastic success. There were hundreds of people who attended, and I think what really made it was that 526 Main loaned us their musician too, and that it was a great time. So we had a lot of great feedback from both the staff in the building and the restaurants there were really happy with it. I think it really boosted a lot of morale too, and I even had questions from the business owners wanting to do more things like this, either when more businesses come online or for other events and whatnot. But it was a fantastic success. I made the trek over here that morning from Beaumont Hospital, where I was living for like 2 days. So, Main Street update. Last Wednesday morning, on my way to the Downtown Association Conference, I stopped in for the Oakland County Main Street Managers Meeting. It was held in Holly this past quarter. Just some updates from that, some important dates. Royal Oak will be receiving its Main Street evaluation on February 12th. They're basically going to come in and just see how the program's running. They're going to look at some metrics, how many volunteers, what kind of things do you have going on. So if we score well, which I'm confident we will, that will contribute to us being an accredited Main Street, which is a special status that's nationally recognized. So I think we'll do well on that. I'm very confident we will. The national conference is going to be in Seattle next year, March 24th. And Oakland County is going to be offering to cover the registration fees for 2 registrants per community, as well as offering travel scholarships for communities who want to attend as well. So there's a good chance if we qualify for the scholarship, I'm not quite sure what the criteria is yet, but they may be able to cover the entire cost of attending that event.
You'd have to drive out there, right, Sean?
Yeah, I'd drive. It's like 2.5 days to drive it. I took a train up there once. Let's see, the Main Street Awards, the Oakland County Main Street Awards, which we attended earlier this year, 2019 will be on May 10th. They're going to be sending me some applications for nominations for Main Street Awards. There's several categories. I think there's 12 categories for Main Street Awards. So we were too new to participate in those awards last year, but I'd really like to apply for various things that we're doing that I think would qualify. So I think we could probably sweep the awards with all the stuff we have going on down here. Genisys grants, I talked a little bit about that. We had 3 applications coming in. It's operating on a rolling basis. Those grants are available so long as they continue to have that pool of funding available. Flagstar grants, that ended over the summer. We were approved for the Veterans Memorial repair. This grant will be open back up again. I'm told sometime soon. I'm still waiting on an exact date. But that covers things like placemaking, usually for DDAs to apply. So if there's any specific projects, we could qualify for that. Application for technical assistance from the county has been approved for the master plan regarding the alleyways. Our next step is we just need to get them an invoice and they'll reimburse us. Spotlight program is actually going very well. It's boosted our social media performance significantly. I included a couple charts here. It looks like they survived the transition to PDF too. Just to give you a kind of a snapshot of where the our social media page likes on Facebook in particular stood upon my hire in the late summer of 2017, where they stay now. And I included some demographics as well, just to give you guys a general idea of who's basically interacting with our page. Small Business Saturday is coming up. At our last meeting, we approved the budget for that. I have the designs for the ornaments, for the canvas totes. We're going to be meeting tomorrow morning, the stakeholders meeting, to go over more of the details. We're going to have a staff member from Oakland County be there because they're doing their county-wide Shop Small event. We were in the top 4 last year in terms of how well we performed with customers coming in and participating in the Shop Small program. So I think we'll surpass our numbers from last year, especially with all of the momentum we have going already for it. Ribbon cutting for the alleyway. Staff members with the city reached out to me They are working with Toyology to do some kind of special event on Small Business Saturday, coincidentally. They want to do a ribbon cutting for that alleyway that goes from 11 all the way down to 3rd, which will be completed by then. So they wanted to have Santa, and they wanted to have small businesses come out and be represented there, maybe do some free hot chocolate or something like that as well, to make it an event. I think we might be able to leverage that to get more people down here to participate in Small Business Saturday as well, so I'm happy to collaborate with them on it. I was on a phone call today with them, and they had Franco involved too, who would be managing the communications for that event. Just very quickly on the Saturday, October 20th event that was being planned by Mr. B's Gastropub, he was unable to get approved for a special event liquor license in time from the MLCC. So he actually had to reschedule that for November 3rd, which was unfortunate. So I called him this afternoon. I told him that in the future, there are opportunities to get that license, even if you're in violation of that 10-day window. They usually require you to apply 10 days before your event. But you'd have to drive to Lansing to get kind of on-the-spot approval, but it was too late. He had already announced it was rescheduled.
So it's not this weekend?
Correct. Yeah, so I was disappointed too. Retail recruitment assistance. I did talk to the county's retail recruitment specialist who's helping out Main Street communities with retail assistance. Been getting basically the same feedback I've been getting from other sources, which is basically a lot of retailers are struggling with the price per square foot throughout the district, which is proving to be somewhat of a barrier for attracting new, specifically retail. And secondly, you know, a lot of retailers, they kind of operate not as leaders in the market, but followers. So they'd like to see some demonstration that their particular sector of retail is doing well down here before you'd see other firms start to follow in the market. So I'd actually like to talk about this to the Business Marketing Committee to see if there's maybe any way that we could intervene to address that. Lastly, ride sharing promotion. We did that several times over the summer. There's a couple opportunities to do that again, so I'll bring that to the Business Marketing Committee. We could do maybe a quick cost-benefit analysis to see if it's worth funding another round for the events that are happening this fall.
And Sean, with our new social media person,
Correct.
we can blast the heck out of this, right?
I think we'll have more capacity to spread the word on that.
And I think that'd be kind of neat just to see like what kind of response we get, just as like talk about setting up the trial balloon. Yeah. Love it.
Anybody with any questions or comments for Sean?
What the hell is that?
And Sean, your family is larger since our last meeting. Would you give everybody the official announcement?
September 22nd, my son was born, so.
And
yeah.
his name and?
His name's Conrad Navarre, his last name's Casey Kammer. And he is completely nocturnal, so I've gotten about 45 minutes of sleep this month.
How many names does he have there? It sounds like a future politician here, but.
Sure does.
Conrad.
Well, congratulations
Thank you.
from all of us. Does anybody have, let's see, I think that's it, isn't it?
Okay.
Anybody have anything else? If not, Director Krieger, I'll entertain.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn by Director Krieger. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Director Riley. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Good night.